Okay, let's unpack this. If there's one shot in golf, just one, that pushes perfectly reasonable people right to the edge, it has to be the short putt, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking those 1 to 1.5 meter putts today.
Yeah, the 4 or 5 footers. They're the ones that pretty much decide if you walk off feeling good with a par or, you know, fuming over a bogey.
Exactly. And they're not just practice swings, they're genuine score savers or score wreckers.
Yeah.
And, the margin for error there, it's almost non-existent, really.
So our deep dive mission today is basically to swap out that feeling of like hoping it goes in with
Right.
actually knowing it can. We've looked at the research, the best practices, and kind of boiled it down.
We've distilled it into four, let's call them pillars,
Yeah.
four essential things you need to turn those misses into makes consistently.
We're basically giving you the roadmap, showing how combining the right technique with really targeted practice.
Purposeful practice.
Yeah, purposeful practice.
Yeah.
How that turns these little putts from, I don't know, a game of chance into something much more mechanical, more reliable.
Okay, so let's dive into pillar one. This is often where golfers, well, they lose the putt before they even swing. It's the physics of the break, or green reading.
Green reading on a 4-footer.
Yes, and what's fascinating and what so many people miss is that even putts, this short do break, physics doesn't just stop because the hole is close.
I think a lot of us, myself included sometimes, look at a short putt, maybe see a tiny slope and just think, I'll just hit it firm, power through it. Is that a bad strategy?
It's a really risky one because, sure, you can hit it firmer, but how firm? Too firm, and you blow it 3-4 feet past. Now you've potentially turned a simple 2-putt into a nightmare 3-putt.
Right. Avoid the 3-putt at all costs.
The science is clear here.
Yeah.
The slower that ball is rolling, the more influence gravity has on its path. Simple as that. And that effect gets magnified, on faster greens or downhill putts or just when the ball naturally slows down as it approaches the hole.
So when it's just about to drop in at that dying speed.
That's after speed, yeah. That's when it's most susceptible to the break. It's moving slowly, gravity takes over.
Okay, so lesson 1 is respect the slope no matter how short the putt.
You absolutely have to. And that means reading the green properly. You need a process, like the pros use. Look from at least 2 spots.
2 spots.
Yep. First, get directly behind the ball, looking straight down the line to the hole. That helps you visualize the line and judge the overall distance.
Okay, standard procedure. What's the second spot?
Second, and this is crucial, get low. Walk about halfway to the hole, off to the side, the low side preferably, and look across the line. That side view really shows you the true tilt, the severity of the slope.
So you're not just guessing the break from behind the ball, you're confirming it from the side. And what are you looking for specifically from that side view?
You're trying to identify the high side of the hole relative to your putt's path. That's the point maybe just outside the cup where the ball must start its journey.
The entry point.
Exactly. Because remember, gravity is always pulling the ball downhill towards the lowest point. So on a breaking putt, you have to aim slightly above the hole on that high side. You trust that as the ball slows down, gravity will gently pull it back across the face and into the cup.
And if you aim straight at the center on a breaking putt,
You're basically guaranteeing a miss. You hit it through the break, and it lips out on the low side almost every time.
okay, that makes perfect sense. Reading it right, finding that precise starting point that leads directly into pillar 2, doesn't it? Stable stroke mechanics. Once you know exactly where to aim.
The stroke itself has to be absolutely repeatable, rock solid.
And for this distance, consistency is everything. How do we get that?
Well, the key to consistency, especially on short putts, is taking the small, twitchy muscles out of the stroke. We need to eliminate, or at least minimize, the influence of the wrists and hands.
Right, the sources we looked at really hammered this home. Stability comes from making it feel like a pendulum.
A true pendulum, precisely. The movement needs to originate from the larger muscles, the shoulders rotating around a stable axis, which is your spine.
Why is that so important?
It's crucial because when you keep your upper arms connected to your torso, kind of snug, that shoulder rotation guides the putter head back and through on a very consistent path, a stable arc or line.
And if you use your wrists,
If you start hinging your wrists, even a tiny bit, you introduce another moving part, another variable. It becomes incredibly difficult to deliver that putter face back to the ball, perfectly square to your intended line, time after time.
okay, and this is where it got really, really eye-opening for me. The data point that should make every golfer sit up and listen. Putter face control is absolutely critical.
Non-negotiable.
The research shows that even a 1-degree error Just 1 degree open or closed at impact.
Just 1 degree.
Is enough to make you miss from this short distance, 1 to 1.5 meters.
Think about what that means. 1 degree sounds like nothing, right? But over, say, 10 feet, a 1 degree offline face sends the ball about 6 inches off target.
Wow.
So over 4 or 5 feet, that 1 degree is easily enough to catch the edge of the cup and lip out instead of dropping in.
So if you're using your wrists at all, you're basically just gambling.
You're gambling, exactly. That stable, shoulder-driven pendulum stroke, it's designed specifically to minimize that face angle variation, to keep it square.
But, okay, having a good stroke on the practice green is one thing. Delivering it when you're standing over a putt to win a match or save par on the 18th, that's different. How do we make sure that solid mechanical foundation doesn't just crumble under pressure?
And that brings us perfectly to pillar 3, the mental blueprint. You need a bulletproof pre-shot routine.
A routine for a 4-foot putt seems like overkill sometimes.
It's the opposite of overkill. It's essential. See, if there's any doubt in your mind about the line you picked, about your stroke, your body's stress response kicks in, fight or flight. Your muscles tense up, your fine motor control goes out the window.
That's the yips, basically.
That's off of the root of the yips, yes.
Hmm.
So the routine isn't just a series of actions. It's a psychological tool. It's designed to build trust, override panic, and lock in commitment to the shot you intend to hit.
So it's like a mental checklist to keep you on track when the nerves hit.
Exactly. And it needs to be clear, automatic, and something you do every single time, whether it's a tap-in or the putt of your life. Consistency in routine breeds consistency in execution.
Okay, so what does a good routine look like for these short putts?
It absolutely has to start with that target identification we talked about in Pillar 1. So, step 1, align the ball first. Before you even take your stance, use the line or the logo on your ball and aim it precisely at that high side spot you picked out.
Right, so you're setting the direction before your body can mess it up.
You got it. Step 2, now set your body up square to that line on the ball. Get your feet, hips, and shoulders parallel to the intended start line. This aligns your whole system.
Okay, ball aligned, body aligned. What's next?
Step 3, crucial step here. Before you take the putter back, take one deep, slow, centering breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth.
Flight of breath.
Physiologically, it's vital. Deep breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps calm the nervous system, lowers your heart rate, and counteract that adrenaline surge that pressure causes. It creates a moment of stillness.
So it's an active pause, not just breathing normally.
Absolutely. Step 4, now, fix your focus. Stare intently at the back of the ball or maybe the blade of grass just in front of it where you want the putter to strike. Don't look at the hole that's focusing on the result. Focus on the process, the strike.
Got it. Eyes on the ball.
And step 5, commit. Pull the trigger. Make the stroke without any second guessing or last-minute adjustments. Trust the line, trust the routine, trust the stroke. Hesitation is fatal here.
That whole sequence done the same way every time really does sound like it could shut down the panic button.
That's the goal. It eliminates the opportunity for doubt to creep in.
Okay, so we've got reading the green, building a stable stroke, and locking it in with a mental routine. What does this all mean when we actually go out to practice? Because just rolling a few putts isn't going to cut it, is it?
Not if you want real improvement. This brings us to Pillar 4, confidence through specific training. We can't just mindlessly hit balls.
How is practicing for these short ones different from, say, practicing lag putting?
It's fundamentally different. Lag putting is all about distance control, feel. Short putting, like we've said, is about precision, repetition, and maintaining that incredibly tight tolerance for error.
So what kind of specific training are we talking about?
The sources are pretty demanding here, and for good reason. The baseline recommendation is hit 20 to 30 putts every single day if possible, from exactly 1 meter, about 3 feet.
Okay, 20 to 30 reps. Daily?
And here's the kicker. The success threshold needs to be sky high. You're not aiming to make, most of them like 7 out of 10. You need to be aiming for 90% or better.
90%, so making like 27 out of 30?
At least. If you're consistently missing more than 2 or 3 out of 30 from just 1 meter in practice, it tells you something isn't quite right yet. Either the mechanics aren't grooved or the routine isn't solid.
Wow, that's a high bar. What kind of drills help achieve that?
We need drills that specifically reinforce those non-negotiable mechanics we discussed, the stable stroke. 2 simple ones are incredibly effective.
Let's break those down. First up, the gate drill. I think most golfers have heard of this one.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason. The gate drill is laser focused on putter path. and achieving a center strike. You simply place two tees in the ground, just a fraction wider than your putter head, maybe an inch or two in front of the ball.
Creating a little gate.
Exactly. And the only goal is to swing the putter head through that gate without hitting either tee while making the putt. It instantly tells you if your path is offline or if you're hitting it off the heel or toe. It forces that consistent path and center contact.
Okay, that makes sense for path and strike. What about reinforcing the shoulder stroke we talked about in Pillar 2?
For that, the core putt drill is fantastic. Or sometimes people call it the towel drill.
How does that work?
It directly targets that shoulder pendulum motion. You focus entirely on keeping your upper arms connected to your torso. Some people find it helpful to actually tuck small towels under each armpit.
Ah, so you physically can't let your arms swing independently.
Right. It forces your bigger muscles, your shoulders, and your core to control the entire putting motion. It completely immobilizes the wrists and hands, letting you really feel what that unified, stable stroke is like. You're training the feeling.
Okay, those drills sound great for building the mechanics, but we still have that pressure problem. How do you practice performing when it actually matters?
This is maybe the most crucial part of the training pillar. Even the best mechanics can wilt if they haven't been stress tested. We need to bridge that gap between the practice green and the pressure of playing.
So pressure training, how do you simulate that tension?
It's actually quite simple but mentally tough. You introduce consequences into your practice. The most common method recommended is this. When you're doing your reps, say those 30 putts from 1 meter,
Yeah.
you only count a set or a series as successful if you hole 10 consecutive putts.
10 in a row. What happens if you make 9 and miss the 10th?
You start over, back to
No.
0.
Oof. That sounds demanding.
It is, but that's the point. That pressure, knowing that one single miss wipes out all your previous successful putts, that triggers the exact same nervous system response, the same adrenaline, the same intrusive thoughts you get on the course when a putt really matters.
So you're learning to execute your routine and your stroke while feeling that pressure.
Precisely. You learn to rely on your breathing, trust your routine, commit to the stroke, even when your brain is screaming at you to be careful or change something. It builds genuine mental toughness, real resilience.
Okay, so if we tie all this together now, connecting the dots, it really paints a clear picture, doesn't it? Success on these critical short putts isn't luck. It's a system.
It really is. It's about integrating these 4 key elements we've talked about. First, proper green reading, finding that specific high side target.
Right, pillar 1.
Second, building a simple, reliable, shoulder-driven stroke. Stable mechanics. That's pillar 2.
Pillar 3, the pre-shot routine, making it automatic to block out the nerves.
Exactly. And finally, pillar 4. That purposeful, pressure-tested training until you can consistently hit that 90% plus success rate in practice.
When you put all 4 together.
Then those short putts really do stop feeling like a gamble. When you step onto the green next time, facing one of those 1 to 1.5 meter putts, you won't just be hoping, you'll have a plan. You'll be executing a stroke you've tested, aiming at a spot you've identified, using a routine you trust. You'll know what to do.
That shift from hope to execution is huge. Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If we've established that just 1 degree of error, something tiny, can cause a critical failure in putting from only a meter away,
A tiny margin.
where else in your game, or maybe even in other precise tasks you do, are you potentially letting a very small, maybe overlooked mechanical flaw or inconsistency sabotage your overall success? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other 1 degree errors might be holding you back without you even realizing it?